Welcome to the House Files, a podcast about building a triplex in Portland, Oregon.
A podcast that mostly exists to talk you out of building a triplex in Portland.
So, it turns out staircases are like a big deal. And they're really a big deal when you have a triple height entryway filled with stairs.
There's so many stairs in this place. It's
kind of wild when you really look at it from one angle where you're like, oh my God, this is like truly a really ridiculous amount of stairs. Like, look, it looks like an MC Escher painting.
This is the view off of the kitchen counter, looking down at the entryway and the multiple levels of stairs. It's very cool, though.
So the reason that this ended up even being a discussion is that there is a half height wall in our living room going down onto the stairs. And we have wanted to do something interesting
above that wall.
Yeah. And, you know, I got a lot of design inspiration from restaurants I can't afford, hotels that I can't afford. So, you know, I really started with the achievable design inspiration here for this. But what I was kind of like into was these Moroccan style kind of cutouts. So like Moroccan style cutouts like this, where you've got like these really cool like patterns, like laser cut. And we found quite a few on Etsy that kind of did that. Aaron wasn't entirely on board with this just because I think the pattern, you couldn't picture what pattern you wanted.
Yeah, some of the patterns I definitely don't like, but I think there is definitely a version of it that has a pattern that is good.
But the situation that we kind of ran into is that because there are so many freaking stairs, so many stairs in this place, you really have to think about how that wall will look with the railings on the stairs. And then the railings have to match the wood floor that the stairs are on. And this is why architects have a job. Is really what I've learned. There are so many parts of a staircase. It's ridiculous. I have like a diagram that I was looking at, and there's like 20 parts of a staircase I didn't even know existed. I was like, I don't know, the foot part and the hand part. No, it's like the balustrade, the striffer, I don't know, I'm just making up words now, but, so we kind of went back and forth, and one of the things that I was arguing for is I am a sucker for like a beautiful Art Deco style railing with like cool cutouts. And, you know, I spent far too long on Pinterest looking at just like absolutely beautifully cool railings like this and, you know, those sort of styles. Aaron was, meanwhile, into these kind of wire style railings.
I think there's some of them that are really cool. This particular picture is not like the most interesting one in my opinion, but there were some that I think are pretty cool. I really liked I like the horizontal lines in them. And here's the thing though. This is where it started getting like, we need to kind of explain the sequence of events where this unfolded. So go grab the picture that shows the half height wall. So this all kind of started with this half height wall because we want to do something that looks interesting above the wall that connects the wall to the ceiling. And also notice that on the right side, it's the landing, the middle landing that goes up to the ceiling, which actually needs to get filled in because it is like you're standing there and you would fall through. So that's kind of where things started, is like, oh, we want something decorative there. And the trick is, if you look at this from the other angle, notice that the stairs that go up, you have this left side that needs to get a railing or some sort of protection so you don't fall into the entryway. And now that half height wall is like on the back side, right? So I started realizing, well, that we need to do something on that side also, and that could also be something interesting and decorative, and that'd be really cool. It'd be a lot more interesting than just a rail. This is where we started really
spiraling,
no pun intended, and going through all these different options of like, okay, well, what do people do in these stairs, in staircases, to make them look interesting and more than just railings? So
We wanted something where the half height wall decoration that we go up is working with the railings and working from both sides.
Yes.
That's the real thing, is like, we just have so much stairs that we wanted to make sure that like we're not ignoring it as a design impact, because you can see the stairs from every angle of the house pretty much. And they're the first thing you see when you walk in, and they need to be able to work with the fact that we've got like these green tealish entryway cabinets. We're hoping to do a living wall opposite the stair kind of column, if you will. But they need to like work with the kitchen, and they also have to work from the flip side in the living room. Like, there's just a lot of angles where they need to work with. I thought you can never go wrong with a gorgeous Art Deco cast iron railing. The ones that we liked, like the really beautiful ones that we liked, are custom. So these like very stylized style of them where they're like these really decorative types, those are not cheap.
Right.
So you can get these like just kind of, this one's a little weird, but you can get like sort of different balustrades and then just make the railing something like that, where they're already kind of pre-done. They're not nearly as expensive.
And they're like these small individual pieces that you get a bunch of them and then you put them into the. So this is an example where like you can see that they're actually these small pieces that are the same that you then put into the railing, and that makes it cheaper to buy because it's not completely custom. You just buy as many of those as you need. And here's the thing: it's not that I don't like these. I think a lot of them are really cool, but I don't want to do that on all essentially 6 layers of railings that we have. I don't think it would look good to do that much of it, all of that. So we need to do that. We need to do something else as well. But here is where I started getting into the idea of having these vertical lines, and I wasn't set on any particular material at that point. I just got set on vertical lines that go from the half height wall to the ceiling and on the other side of the U of the stairwell. So it's on the side open to the entryway. Tall vertical lines there. And doing tall vertical lines there, I think it would then look really good to have them contrasted with horizontal lines on the in-betweens. So what I was really worried about is having too many vertical lines if everything is vertical. So I like the vertical lines on the half height wall, and I like the vertical lines on the opposite that's to the entry. So I was thinking, okay, let's do these horizontal lines in the middle to counter them. And what I've kind of sketched here is just a pencil line, which is basically what the wire type of railing looks like. Very thin line that looks like this pencil line. And that was what was first in my head, is doing the wire runs horizontally or up diagonally, I guess, up the stair tread.
I was concerned that they essentially will look like a bank lobby of a super modern building. Not a beautiful cast iron golden age bank lobby, which I would be fine with. But just very not homey. That was my big concern. And I don't think we're making bold enough design decisions to make everything look ultra modern and like because we don't have a cohesive design aesthetic really. Yeah. As much as we like to pretend we do, we absolutely do not. I was just concerned. I don't like the wire look very much. Like I think it can be done well, but I don't like it in this vibe. And I'm on board with the horizontal lines for the big long lines. And I'm okay with them being a different way, but I did not want them made out of wire.
And I'm mostly interested in the pattern that it makes. So I like the vertical lines and the diagonal lines up the stair treads. And if you actually look at I was walking through this the other day, imagining how this was all going to play out. And I'm actually really excited about that pattern of being able to do it because it's gonna work well. But let's talk about the trend we stumbled on, or not trend, aesthetic we stumbled on for staircases that we both were like, oh yeah.
So this ended up being I think it's Japandi is the kind of style, which
What is
is
Japandi?
Japandi is like Japanese style mixed with the Scandi style. And it's very much like very popular these days, but it does seem to be kind of the architectural style of these staircases, which is having like a wooden slat wall, but carrying it down onto the railing. So you really are taking it onto the structure of the staircase. What I like about this is it has a lot of warmth. It's often used with floating staircases, which we don't want for a bazillion reasons. But you can make something look like a floating staircase by having a different color of the riser. So, another staircase term. So if you have like white on the riser, which we also were thinking about those, it would be cool to do lighting on the riser and do like fun interplays. So, we kind of have come around to this look of, so one is made of metal and we kind of decided this looks not like a house.
It's too much. Yeah.
It's too much, but the wooden slat walls we also think will look really good given the amount of height we have. So you see these examples of these really tall walls. And you can do cool lighting with them. What is neat about this as compared to wire is that we can actually light the individual strips of them. Like they'll have enough depth to take light.
Yeah.
Essentially.
So what I want to do with this is basically take this idea of these thin slats of wood that are, 6 inches long, and then you space them out at some space that is both up to code, but also far enough apart that it looks mostly see-through. Like it's not supposed to look like a wall. And that will be the tall vertical lines. So if you look at how much of the tall vertical wood there would be here, it goes all the way up to the ceiling at the top of the frame here, all the way down across those 2 stair runs, and it would hit the floor at the entryway stairs. And that would be a really tall, thin pieces of wood there. And then if you alternate, imagine on the closer side of this picture where you're walking up the entryway, it would be like the regular diagonal line railing as you're walking up the right side. Then you'd have the tall vertical on the left, and then you come around, and now you've got, again, the diagonal lines in between these runs of stairs. So in between there, you would have the diagonal lines, and then you get up to the top, and again, same thing going up into the roof. And it's a alternating. So you always have one vertical, and then the next one is the diagonal, and the next one is vertical, and the next one is diagonal.
I think it's going to work.
I think it's going to work.
I don't know if we're overestimating our abilities here.
And I also double checked walking around that there is actually enough like space. So every time that there's a U for the run, there's actually a 6-inch gap in the middle right now, which is exactly the right amount to fill with wood. And that would be like the depth of these slats. And I'm going to have to sketch this out and show it later. But I have a plan for how the diagonal ones are going to look, and they're going to look kind of like they're going to end up like meeting kind of like this at cool angles every time they go up. So it's going to be a cool pattern. I'm pretty excited. And I think this was a good way to come to get that look of the pattern that I was going for without doing it in the wire that I think there's advantages to the wood.
Yeah. I hope we can afford it.
Yep.
There seems to be a lot of discarded wood right now on the job site.
Yeah.
Can recycle all of it.
So that's the plan for the stairs.
The only thing that had to really be decided now was the height of the half wall, which has already been built in. But we're getting close to needing to make decisions about things like the wall decorations and stuff, like the wood that is going to fill in. Like we're really close.
No, I wouldn't say really close.
We're really close.
There's quite a few steps before we get there, but it is gonna have to happen.
This is very funny that all on board with this after just talking about how we didn't want a giant wooden closet.
It is pretty funny, actually. Yeah.
It's different.
It is different.
So that's the vibe we think we're going for. Is the Japandi wood style vibe.
I think it'll look good. I think imagine this and imagine go back, find that really tall one with the entryway again. Imagine.
It's almost close.
It's close. Yeah.
Those are open stairs though, which we're not going to do.
Right. So I think that's a good summary of where we're at with the stair design. It's definitely not an immediate need, and unlike a lot of the other things we're thinking about right now, because it is going to happen quite a bit later, but it's never too early to start, really.
I mean, I feel like we should have decided this, I don't know, years ago. So
yeah,
that's how I feel about a lot of things. What's the word of the week?
What's one of your stair words? I don't know.
Balustrade, which I'm definitely pronouncing wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, I think
we'll put it on the screen spelled correctly.
Balustrade. And who's late this week is almost definitely us. I feel like we probably have not made decisions we should have made by now. I think really the flooring is the big thing. It's like hard to really know how this is going to look without the flooring, but then the flooring that we picked is not the flooring we get. Yep. So yeah. Right
now we're making design decisions without knowing the floor that we're going to have, which is a little bit of a challenge.
Yep.
But we'll make it work.
And until next time, let us know if you have any great grand staircase inspirations that are affordable, not $6,000 for a single stair railing, which is what it costs to get a custom iron railing, as I've learned. And until next time, stay safe.
And don't build a triplex.
Don't build a triplex.